Order. This will be the hearing of 2024-008. Is that correct?
Yep.
And for the record, my name is Michael McHenry. I'm the hearing officer today. And if you are asked a question, and that would pertain to you folks also, please answer your question audibly. Keep your voice up. We are making a record. You can't shake your head. And understand that today I can only make a recommendation. I can either approve by recommendation or I can not approve, but it then goes to the county board. That would be the one that would make the final decision today. And for the record, everyone is going to testify. If you folks want to also stand, anyone that's going to testify today, please stand and be sworn. Do you all promise to tell the whole truth, nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Good. Excellent. For the record, would you state your name and your address, please?
Thomas R. Versman, 402 Tuxedo Lane, Cary, Illinois, 60013.
And what are you hoping to do today?
I'm hoping to be able to readjust the position of my existing garage. I would like to move it off the property line, which would be to the west side of the property at their proper dimensions. But I do not meet the requirement from the roadside back, so I'm asking for that variance.
Okay. And for the record, this is the application of Thomas and Kelly Versman as trustees under the TRV KAV Trust Agreement, Revocable Trust, dated February 28th, 2022. They are seeking a variation within the R1 Single Family Residential LN District to allow for a setback of 3 feet instead of the required 10 feet from the street lot line. The subject property consists of 0.44 acres and is located approximately 786 feet north of the intersection of Tuxedo Lane and Hickory Nut Grove Lane. Common street address is 402 Tuxedo Lane, Cary, Illinois, Township of Algonquin. Tax ID or PIN 205252-005. The current land use is designated single-family residential, and the adjacent land use would be the Fox River to the north, open space to the south, single-family residential to the east and the west. Current zoning is R1 single-family residential district LN, and the adjacent zoning is Fox River to the north, A1 agricultural to the south. East and west would be R1 single-family residential district LN, and it is designated as an environmentally sensitive area on the 2030 plan. And it is in an elevated aquifer contamination potential area, and also indicates that there is a Zone AE 100-year floodplain with a base flood elevation of 737 feet throughout the majority of the property, with a portion of it being outside of that. Kim, does that have any impact or effect on what he's hoping to do? Because he's technically in the floodplain with the garage, is he not?
He is. He will require a stormwater permit, but it should not impact the ability to obtain a building permit.
But what happens if that area floods?
Well, that's something that the stormwater division is going to check and make sure that if there needs to be specific building materials to make sure that it is flood resistant, they will take care of that through the stormwater permit.
Okay. Do they do things like weep holes in case the...
I believe so.
Okay.
It's requiring about 12 vents put in, flow-through vents in that, and that's on the drawings, which I had a meeting yesterday with water management, getting that all corrected.
That was a very impressive drawing that you had. Into a lot of detail.
Yep.
What is the reason for removing the existing garage? Why do you need to do that?
It's not big enough to put 2 vehicles in. It's an existing structure when I purchased the home, and I would like to, like I say, remove it and make it able to put 2 vehicles in. Because, like I say, I can only get 1 vehicle in there right now, and that barely fits in, my wife's car.
Okay. And to the north of you is the Fox River, correct?
Correct.
And across the street to the south of you, what would that be?
That's all conservation.
Okay. And as I'm traveling north-south, west on Tuxedo Lane, that becomes kind of a dead end.
It's a dead end into a homeowner's driveway, basically.
Okay. Have you talked to your neighbors about what you're requesting?
Yes,
And what have they said?
they didn't seem to have any problems. The one right next to me, I don't talk well with her because we've had some disagreements, so it's best not saying anything.
Okay.
It would improve her property with me moving, if you look at the picture there, moving as you look at it, moving my garage to your right would take it away from her garage farther. Right now, the garage is like right on the property line. So I'm going to be centering on my existing home, which would give me approximately 10 foot off the side lot line. And moving it off the road, it will be set back. I'm going for, what did it say, a 3 foot? It's actually a little bit more setback than that after I've done some more calculating at home.
Okay, and from the end of your property line to the actual paved portion of the road, there are a couple of feet, are there not?
Yes,
And currently, you would park your vehicle in front of the existing garage?
my vehicle would park off to the side where I have a little parking area.
Okay,
My wife's car goes in the garage.
okay, I do see that on the map. That is that gravel area.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of anybody traveling westbound on Tuxedo Lane, they would not have any problem with a sight line or anything along those lines because you're a little closer to the roadway, would they?
No, there's other garages that are just about the same on that street.
And Kim, it appears that a bunch of the homes on that street do have variations, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
And what types of variations do they have?
Well, actually, both of them on Tuxedo Lane were for the height of the garage to allow an increase from what our requirement was, and one of them was for a side yard setback for a garage.
Okay. Other than the one neighbor that you may not be on the best of talking terms to, the other neighbors have any objection?
No.
Are there similar garage structures on Tuxedo Lane, similar to what you're requesting that are close to the road?
Yes, there are.
Okay. And we do have some things that we must cover. So bear with me. I'm having one of those days where nothing has gone well.
All right. I'll put them up on the screen. If that's helpful, I can put them up there.
Okay. Very nicely done. Okay, if you pay attention to the question, you may be able to figure out the answer.
Okay.
Isn't it true that the particular surroundings, shape, or topographical condition of the specific property involved would result in a particular hardship upon the owner, as distinguished from a mere inconvenience if the strict letter of the regulations were carried out? Isn't that true?
Let me read that again.
Isn't it true?
Yes.
Good answer. Nicely done. Isn't it also true that the conditions upon which the application for a variation are based are unique to the property for which the variation is sought and are not generally applicable to other property within the same zoning district? Isn't that also true?
Yes.
Good answer. Isn't it also true that the proposed variation is not based exclusively upon a desire to increase the monetary gain realized from the property? Isn't that true?
Yes.
In fact, this is going to cost you some money to try to do what you're trying to do.
Yes.
And you're doing it so you can protect your vehicle, correct?
Correct.
Isn't it true that the alleged difficulty or hardship is caused by the ordinance and has not been created by any person presently having an interest in the property? Isn't that true?
Correct. Yes.
This is an older subdivision or an older area, correct?
Yes.
Probably predating some of our zoning maps.
They were all like summer cottages, I believe, back in the day.
Correct. Isn't it also true that the granting of the variation will not be detrimental to the public welfare or injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood in which the property is located? Isn't that true?
Yes.
You do have some similar properties that have had variations. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yes.
And isn't it also true that the proposed variation will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property or substantially increase the congestion in the public streets or or increase the danger of fire or endanger the public safety or substantially diminish or impair property values within the adjacent neighborhood? Isn't that true?
Yes.
And you really don't have a lot of traffic on that road because you're very limited. It's a dead end and you've got conservation area across the street. Is that
Correct.
correct? And isn't it also true that the granting of the variation requested will not confer on the applicant, you, any special privilege that is denied by this ordinance to other land or structure of the same zoning district? Isn't that true?
Yes.
If your neighbor had a similar situation, made a similar request, would you be in favor of that request or would you oppose it?
In favor.
Okay. Kim, do you have anything that you wish to add?
Just that this is very similar to the setback of other garages down the street. I was out there and I took some photographs. You can see kind of around the curve of Tuxedo Lane. Most of the garages are lined up. And this is actually improving the setbacks from the existing garage, so I don't have any objections.
Okay. And the signage is obviously posted. I would be in favor of this request. This will go to the county board, and because I'm approving it, you simply need a majority of the members of the county board who are in attendance that night to approve it. You do not have to go to that meeting. In all likelihood, you'll be on what's called the consent agenda, where a number of items will simply be voted on by voice. What would that meeting be?
April 16th.
Okay. You, sir, are free to go.
Okay, thank you very much.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Why is it always the wife's car in the garage?
You asked me that question. I have no idea. I'm not the woman. Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay.
You folks are next.
I'll let you sit in that chair.
You have been sworn, and as I indicated before, I'm the hearing officer. My name is Michael McHenry. Again, I ask you to keep your voices up so we can make a good record of this. For the record, would you state your name and spell your last name and also identify the property address?
Tina Hammer, Hammer, and the property address is 6210 South Kilkenny Drive in Crystal Lake.
Okay.
And I'm Michael Hammer.
For some reason I thought you were Carrie, but you are Crystal Lake.
Yep.
And for the record, Michael and Tina Hammer are the owners of record. They are requesting a variation within the R1 single-family residential district to allow for a setback of 23 feet instead of the required 30 feet from the street lot line. And the subject property consists of 0.49 acres, is located approximately 1,690 feet south of the intersection of Kilkenny Drive and Crystal Lake Avenue. Common street address is 6210 Kilkenny Drive, Crystal Lake, Illinois, Township of Algonquin. PIN or tax ID of 1902-202-005. Property is designated as single-family residential on the current land use map, and the adjacent land use is also single-family residential to the north, south, east, and west. Current zoning is R1 single-family residential district, and that same designation applies to the adjacent zoning to the north, south, east, and west, and the 2030 plan designates this as residential. The property is improved with a one-story brick and frame residence, frame shed, asphalt driveway. There are no wetlands. There are no floodplains of record on the property, and there is a permit that is currently in operation. Is that correct, Kim?
Is it currently pending? Yes.
And that permit is for an attached garage addition to the existing structure, and they did have an administrative variance to allow for a setback of 27 feet, but they're trying to increase that to a setback of 23 feet. And a letter from the Illinois Department of Natural Resources was not required. Since you had the administrative variance, why did you try to go further?
We'll wait on here.
Okay. Hey, sir.
Yes, sir.
Other than you called my granddaughter for traveling in a basketball game, I'm very happy to see you.
Thank you. Thank you. I do appreciate it.
And the next time you do that, I told her to call it out as a Euro step.
Oh, a Euro step. Good point. There is such a thing. Sorry to interrupt. We were sitting in the wrong room.
Okay.
I'm not a referee of any basketball or any other sports. I've coached, but not against any.
He called my 8-year-old granddaughter for traveling. I won't hold that against them.
No. The reason we requested the increase is we found out after the fact that we have ComEd line running through the area, that we proposed the garage, and there's an additional expense for that, and what we had already been approved for the administrative variation. Technically, it's not a full 2-car garage. It's only a 19-foot wide garage, which this would give a little extra room on each side for storage and better access in and out. And it's a challenging driveway to begin with because it's perpendicular to the road, so that would allow a better turning radius in as well with a little bit of an expansion of the driveway in that area.
Why do you have that odd angle on the driveway?
The house was built in 1962, and it was my mother's home for many years, and that's the way they built it back then. The site itself has unique constraints. I believe it's a 30-foot drop in the back. If you on the GIS topography, you can clearly see there's there isn't really anywhere else to put it or how to put it. I'm not sure why they designed it that way. It looks nice from the street because you're not looking at a garage door, and we, after back and forth with our architect, decided that's probably the best way to keep it. So, really isn't going to look any different from the street.
Are you on well and septic?
We are.
And where would those be located on the property?
The septic is on the north. Here's the septic plan. The septic is on it's northeast side of the lot, and the well is on it's over on the other side. So we have the septic to deal with as well as the well to deal with as far as trying to make it work.
And 30 feet by way of setback, that was part of the subdivision rules and regulations, I'm assuming?
I believe so.
And there's adequate space between what they want to do and Kilkenny Drive, is there not?
I believe so.
And again, as you travel southwest on Kilkenny Drive, does that connect to anything, or does that dead end at both ends?
It dead ends.
So how much traffic do you normally get?
Not very much. Amazon, quite a bit. But outside of that, it's a dead end in there. I don't know, maybe there's a dozen homes further down the road. So it really, it's limited traffic.
So what you're proposing to do would have no impact on the sight line or anyone traveling on the road in terms of safety?
It shouldn't.
Okay. And how about your neighbors? Do we get along better with our neighbors?
We do.
Okay.
We don't think we have any issues.
Okay.
Like I said, it was my mother's home for 20 plus years prior to our taking ownership, and she always had really good relations with the neighbors.
Okay, so they have no objection to what you're requesting?
As far as we know.
And, young lady, what do you say?
I actually just have one question. For the widening of the driveway, I'm sorry, would that just be up near the garage?
Exactly.
You're not going to be widening in the right-of-way at all?
No,
Okay.
not down there.
Okay. As far as my site visit out there, it looks like there's plenty of room. It wouldn't cause any impact to sight lines or anything, so I don't have any objections.
Okay. And if we could go back to the standards. Actually, All right. We'll see if you were paying attention.
We know how to play the game.
We got it down, I think. There's no in our answers.
Correct. Isn't it true that the particular surrounding, shape, or topographical condition of the specific property involved would result in a particular hardship upon you, the owner, as distinguished from a mere inconvenience if the strict letter of the regulations were carried out? Isn't that true?
Yes.
And the oddity of your surroundings, that's why you couldn't go with the adjustment that the county had offered to you, and that's why you're here today, because of the oddity of your property, correct?
Correct, yes.
Isn't it also true that the conditions upon which the application for variation are based are unique to the property for which the variation is sought, and are not generally applicable to other property within the same zoning district. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And the purpose of the variation is not based exclusively upon a desire to increase the monetary gain realized from the property. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And seeking the variation actually cost you more money than what you would have been able to do otherwise, correct?
Too much. Yes.
Yes. And the alleged difficulty or hardship is caused by the ordinance and has not been created by any person presently having an interest in the property. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And the difficulty is really caused by the subdivision as they laid it out and the way that the driveway was created, correct?
Correct.
And isn't it true that the alleged difficulty or hardship is caused by the ordinance? And do we already do that one? Yes. And the granting of the variation will not be detrimental to public welfare or injurious to other property or improvements in the neighborhood in which the property is located. Isn't that true?
Yes.
And isn't it also true that the proposed variation will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property, or substantially increase the congestion in the public streets, or increase the danger of fire, or endanger the public safety, or substantially diminish or impair property values within the adjacent neighborhood? Isn't that true?
Yes.
There's still adequate spacing between your property and your neighbors, so there is no danger of fire, and you're not going to be changing the sight lines on the road, which would cause any traffic problem. Isn't that correct?
Correct.
And isn't it also true that the granting the variation will not confer on you, the applicant, any special privilege that is denied by this ordinance to the land or structure of the same zoning district? Isn't that true?
Yes.
Are there other properties in the area that have similar issues?
I didn't see any other variations, I don't believe. But they all are about at the same setback, so I don't believe that it's asking for a large increase compared to what else is out there.
Is the setback caused by the subdivision rules, or are they county rules?
They're one and the same, 30 feet for the subdivision
Okay.
as well as the county.
Anything else that you wish to say? You guys did well. I will then
Thank you.
approve your request, and you will go to the county board.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
On the way out, can you tell the troublemaker?
Sure. I'll tell him we're sweating in there. You couldn't get over that basketball. Thank you.
Have a good day.
I have no problem
Take
with
care.
the next one, do you?
Thanks.
What type of machinery do they?
I think it's excavated. I think it's excavated.
Okay.
I think.
I was just going to sign in.
I don't know if I should go outside or just leave it.
No, things are good.
Are you sick?
Sore throat and a cough. And then I lost my voice.
Hi. If you guys could just sign in and then you can sit across
Enter.
from McHenry.
Will do. So
Sorry they booted us out of there today.
oh no. So we went, when we came in, we stopped in the office and said, where is the hearing?
Yeah.
I said, and she said, oh yeah, down in the conference room. So
Yeah.
we-
They
so
wanted us to have a tiny conference room for 3 hearings. So
And the sign said, all it says is McHenry County Hearing Officer. Didn't say zoning or any of that. So,
I apologize.
oh no. Well, then I came back and I said, okay, maybe we're not. And so Renee's like, let me look. And she walked me downstairs. She goes, oh, there's a sign here. I'm like, here, excuse me, let me sit over here. Mr. McNerney, Michael McNerney, Jeffrey Hyman.
How are you?
So I don't know if you're aware, I've changed affiliations and now am officing at 50 North Virginia Street, also known as the Zukowski, Rogers, Flood, and McCardle office.
Did you join up there?
I did.
Interesting. I didn't know they had any extra space down there.
They squeezed me in. Actually, your daughter knew that I was looking at. I had chatted her about it before I did that, and before I called traveling on your granddaughter at said basketball game. So were you at that game?
No, but I heard about it.
Okay. I was gonna say, I don't
Mine
remember.
was grousing. It's amazing how much an 8 or 9-year-old can play. She said, "Do you know that guy?" I said, "Oh yeah."
Well, the thing is though that at that age, just so you know, it's an instructional league. So when you get called for that violation, you don't lose the ball. We stop play and say, "Do you know what you did wrong?" And half of the girls go at the start of the season, kind of like, "I'm not really sure." And then I'll say, "Okay, here's what you did. Do you understand?" "Yeah." And then like 3 minutes later, "Okay, we just talked about this." And so anyhow.
You have to see these games. They've got like a boundary, like a court, but that line means nothing. When they get back on, and they go like down the hallway, they turn around and come back in.
At times.
It's really kind of funny.
At times there is a little bit of that, but it is, I will say, it's of all the refereeing I've done, I tell people it's my favorite. Because you get the combination of coaching and refereeing at the same time. So they want me to do 2 games this weekend, but I already have something else. I said I can do one, so I might not get any. They're having a tournament. They don't keep score the rest of the year, and now they're having a tournament. So could be. So anyhow, we're ready now. Thank you for your patience.
Have you guys been in front of this hearing before?
I have not.
Okay.
I've been
For
before
some reason
you
I
with
thought
your
you
6
said-
compadres, but I have not been just with you.
Okay. For the record, my name is Michael McHenry, and I will be the hearing officer today. And what I will do is either make a recommendation approving this or not approving it, but it's only a recommendation. It then goes to the county board. They will have the final determination. If I were to make a recommendation in favor of this request, you would only need to have a majority of the members at the county board in attendance in order to get a favorable result. If I were to not approve this, you would then need a 3/4 vote of the county board members in attendance. For the record, anyone who's going to testify, would you please stand to be sworn in? You're going to say something too.
Okay.
Do you need to do it again?
No, you're
Okay,
fine.
thanks.
For the record, you promise to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth, swear to God.
Do.
Excellent.
I do.
Excellent. So Craig, what are you hoping to do?
I'm hoping today to be successful in securing 2 variances. One of the variances is to have, instead of limiting a 6-foot high screen fence, a 7-foot high screen fence. There currently exists a 7-foot high fence, and so the theory was if we're going to put screening, just as soon go to the top of the fence rather than at the 6-foot limit. So that was one. The second was to allow a variation. Instead of having a paved surface, have a gravel surface. And the issue is that what's going to be operated here is, for the most part, storage of heavy machinery. And I've got some photos, etc., showing that a number of these machines are like the tank type things, and those on asphalt are going to be chewing it up almost immediately. And so that is the primary reason behind the variance that we're seeking for today.
Okay. Kim, what's the history of the existing 7-foot fence? How did that happen to be?
So there's a chain link fence, which chain link is allowed to go up to 8 feet high.
Okay.
So it's in conformance currently, but in order to add the required screening to 7 feet would require this variance.
Is chain link screening?
It is to just encompass the site, but because there is agricultural zoning to the west, that's where the privacy screening is required.
For the record, this would be the application of 2024-005, and the applicant is Matt, last name is Rogulic, and MMR Holdings would be the LLC owner of record. The request is a variation within the I-1 light industrial district to allow, as mentioned, outdoor storage area, parking area, and driveway to be surfaced with gravel instead of the required paving surface. and also a 7-foot fence, privacy fence along the west line instead of the maximum 6-foot fence that would currently be allowed. The property consists of approximately 1.14 acres, is located on the west side of Schroeder Lane, approximately 1,165 feet southwest of the intersection of High Point Road and South Illinois Route 31. Common street address would be 1707 South Schroeder Lane, McHenry, Illinois, Township of Nunda, PIN or tax ID 1410401-009. Current land use is designation of commercial, and to the north would be industrial, south would be commercial, east industrial, west would be agricultural. Current zoning is I-1 Light Industrial District, and that same designation would be applicable to the adjacent zoning to the north-south, and to the east, to the west would be A1 Agricultural District. 2030 plan designates this as office, research, industrial, and the property is improved with a metal-clad pole barn and a gravel/asphalt driveway. There are no wetlands on the property. There are no floodplains. There is a pending building permit application K-5398 that is pending for the purpose of the proposed privacy fence. There is currently a violation that appears to be pending, 2023-57, and that's for an allegation pertaining to operation of a storage yard not in compliance with the county ordinance. And if this were to be approved, that would then resolve it. What is the history, the current situation with the violation?
So they were found in violation of having the storage on the property. They did go through the staff plat review committee. Per the ordinance, a storage yard does require site plan review. And this is pending the variations being granted. Once they're granted, they're allowed to operate under the current zoning.
Okay. And turn it over to you.
All right, thank you very much. So, and I believe, and we can let Matt kind of describe, but essentially my understanding was they went through the site plan and all that, thought they had, when they had stormwater approval, thought that meant they had a permit. That's what I think, and then all of a sudden like, oh, you have this, but you did not complete it. So
we did not complete the building permit portion, which I was not aware of at the time. Al Schmidt, our engineer, had applied and obtained the stormwater permit, and I thought we were good to go until we got the notice that we needed a building permit.
So hence we're here today. All right, so Matt, you want to please state your full name?
Matthew Philip Regalic.
And where do you currently reside?
5707 Meadowbrook Lane, Crystal Lake.
And approximately how long?
I've been there 7 years.
All right, and your current occupation?
Manager.
Your business, company business?
McHenry Heating, Plumbing, and Excavating.
Okay, and how long have you had that business?
25 years.
All right, the property that's the subject of today's application, you are currently the owner of?
That is correct.
Through the LLC that's identified?
Yes.
And approximately how long have you owned the property?
3 years.
Okay, and you're familiar with location of the property subject of today's hearing?
I am.
And you own some property not too far away, a few properties to the south.
Correct.
You also are owned, and you operate some of your storage over at that spot.
Correct.
All right. And the purpose of this property was to be able to relocate and do storage on this site.
That is correct.
Okay. I'm going to show you what I have marked as Exhibit A. This shows this is a survey of the property, and this was the condition of the property at the time you purchased it in 2021. Correct?
That is correct.
Building was previously there,
Yes.
and there was a gravel drive coming up.
Yes.
All right. Next, I want to show you Exhibit B, which, as I have marked, that's the site plan showing the improvements that you since have put into place based on the drawings that you had submitted and went to site plan review but did not get the permit, correct?
That is correct. We got a stormwater permit.
Right. And this is the current plan as we last submitted as part of our request for variance.
Yes.
And it shows that essentially it's from the time you come in, it's all gravel.
Correct.
And that's how it's currently improved. All right. And since the time you purchased the property, essentially you put in the gravel. And you put the gravel in accordance with the plans as submitted by Mr. Schmidt.
Correct.
So as far as the depth and all that, everything met that metric. All right. And currently, as identified by Ms. Charlo, the application is pending because we had a violation that has stalled it out pending resolution of the variance that we're asking for.
Correct.
Okay. As identified, I want to show, this is I'm going to call Group Exhibit C. So these are some photographs that you personally took over the last couple of days. And what we have here is identifying, it's got two things. Number one, two of the photographs show the kind of equipment that you're going to be storing out there. And then I described initially in my kind of opening statement, shows the type of treads and the equipment you have, which are metal tracks, like we would call like tank track.
Correct.
Kind of. And that's really a good number of the equipment that you're bringing out there. Approximately 40% are of this type.
Correct.
And the issue that we're looking to avoid is that operating these and moving them around the yard would tear up the asphalt, correct?
That is correct.
And the other two photos that we have just kind of show what occurs when you drive these on, actually on a gravel.
Correct.
And if it was asphalt, it would look the same, but it would be
yes.
tearing it. Okay. Right. So, other item is that we talked about that there's currently a 7-foot fence, and you installed that fence, correct?
That is correct.
Right. And you understand that under the ordinance, as Ms. Charlo indicated, you could have an 8-foot fence, but the highest privacy fence is 7 foot.
Correct.
What we're seeking to ask for is to be able to screen the full 7-foot fence, correct?
That is correct.
Rather than screening only the top 6.
Correct.
And really just for aesthetics, it would just look...
It would look strange if we only screen the 6 and
Okay,
having that.
and on the side that you're screening currently is farm field, correct?
On the west side.
Okay, and what's
Yeah,
on the other side?
The south side, there's no screening.
Okay, but the side where the screening, we're screening
Side of the
from
screening is
farm field.
Farm field.
Okay, all right. So as identified in the staff report and in the materials that we submitted, in order to get a variation, there are certain standards we need to meet. So we're going to walk through those standards which we discussed. So first is the particular surrounding shape or topographical condition of your property results in a particular hardship as distinguished from a mere inconvenience if the strict letter of the regulations were carried out. So in this case, the hardship is really what's going to happen to the property, correct?
Correct.
Not necessarily, but not an inconvenience, correct?
Yeah, it's not an inconvenience. It would probably destroy the asphalt within a year or two.
All right. The conditions upon which the petition for variation is requested are unique to your property, for which the variation is not applicable generally to other properties within the same district. We can't really answer yes to that one, so that's saying no.
No. Okay.
Purpose of the variations are not based exclusively upon a desire to increase monetary gain realized from the property, which is, the issue is not the cost, but it's the feasibility of the paved surface, correct?
Correct.
So it's not saying, hey, I don't want to put gravel, I don't want to put paved surface because I don't want to pay for that. The use that we're going to be putting here would destroy that.
That is correct.
Okay. The alleged difficulty or hardship is caused by the ordinance not been created by the person presently having an interest in the property. I mean, the condition today is that it has gravel. And so that one, you did not cause that. Correct?
Correct.
Speaking to that, immediately to your south, there is a large parcel also within the county that is all gravel, correct? I don't know if is it a waste transfer station?
Waste management.
Waste management
facility
site.
there.
And also the other parcel that we discussed that you own, a number of parcels south of that, also where you currently operate has gravel.
That is correct.
Right, so similar to what we have here. Okay. Next, the proposed variation will not impair an adequate supply of light and air to adjacent property, substantially increase congestion to public streets, increase danger of fire, endanger public safety, or substantially diminish or impair property values within the neighborhood. If granted, none of those would apply, correct?
I don't believe it will.
That the granting of the variation requested will not confer on the applicant any special privilege that denied by this ordinance to other land structures of the same zoning district.
I don't believe so.
All right. So other than that, I don't think we have anything else really here. And you guys have some site photos as well, show what we've got going. So,
Did you wish to make these part of the record?
I would like to make exhibits A, B, and C part of the record. Yes, thank you.
That'll be done. Kim, any questions? Any comments?
No, I don't think I had anything.
Okay, and this has already gone through stormwater, correct?
Yes.
And the only real potential issue would have been stormwater, because conceivably there are some elevation changes and the water could go this way or that way. And there's no issue with the existing septic.
No, the septic is on the other side of the building. It's not near where the gravel is.
Okay. And do you have any of the neighboring properties that have made any comments for or against?
We have not. We've not heard of any. No one has been in contact. As I say, we got waste management on one side, and then to the north. What's on the? What's the
I
north?
believe they build cabinets.
Okay, so it's an industrial use.
It's an industrial use, yeah.
Okay.
When you move the heavy equipment, how do you move that?
It would be on a semi-tractor trailer.
Okay, and does that pull into the property, or do you have to get that equipment?
It has to pull into the property. We can't pull the machines on the street because of the same reason.
Okay. I have no other questions or concerns. Your attorney has, as he has always done, notwithstanding my earlier comments.
Well, thank you.
He's capable at some things. He's a capable lawyer. I will go that far.
Thank you.
And this has been well presented. I would be in favor of this request. It will go to the county board meeting on
April 16th.
And you don't have to be there. Your attorney will explain the process. You should be on the consent agenda if you wish to be there to see government in action. God love you. But I would be in favor of it.
Very good. Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Are we done? Are we off the record?